Of people throughout the Rockford area are celebrating Kwanzaa, a week-long holiday that reflects on African American heritage. 23 News reporter Sydney Stoffregan talks with Rockford City Council member April Prunty about what the holiday means to her.
The holiday started in 1966 and is celebrated between December 26th and January 1st. Organizers say this is a time of family, reflection, and celebration. Cheers of celebration fill the halls of the African American Resource Center as dozens come together to celebrate Kwanzaa. Rockford City Council member April Prunty organized the event and says each day recognizes one of 7 principles we should follow every day.
I'm so glad that we begin with unity and we end with faith, because it takes those things and it takes all of those to keep us together, to keep us strong, and so that we can keep building our community.
Kwanzaa celebrations include lighting a candle for each of 7 principles. Saturday's principle was all about cooperative economics. Prunty says this principle promotes Black-owned shops that are built and maintained by the community. Participants showed their support for local Black-owned businesses like Bonnie's Boutique.
The people that we serve have represented us well, and these are the things available all the whole while. And when they buy these things, that gives us an idea for what we need to supply. So we continue to purchase the things that we think will supply the needs of our customers.
Kwanzaa is a time for many to pass down a history of perseverance to younger generations. Prunty says by focusing on what young people are interested in, they can keep the spirit of the holiday alive.
The young people are our future, so we are happy to help develop them and then prepare them to take on this responsibility.
Kwanzaa celebrations will come to an end Monday, January 1st. Those celebrating the final 2 days can learn about the last 2 principles, which are creativity and faith.
A study from public policy polling finds that 4% of Americans celebrate Kwanzaa during the holiday season. That's considerably less than the 90% of people nationwide who celebrate Christmas.